Parivrtta Surya Yantrasana, otherwise known as compass pose. So let me show you the pose first, and then I'll show you some ways we can get into it. So first of all, your hip has to be fairly open, both sides. You'll bring your shoulder underneath your knee, you'll plant the hand, and then you'll extend and open. So Parivrtta is the twisting part of this. Surya is your pressing up to the sun, Yantrasana. So some ways we can get into it. One, first do some hip openers to get your hips nice and open. You'll have to open up the hamstrings as well. But I want to show you an interesting pose that basically is this pose, the compass pose, but standing. So it looks a little bit like this. One way to approach compass pose is from standing. Bring your feet 3.5 to 4 feet apart. Turn your right toes open so the right heel, left arch line up. Inhale, bring your arms over your legs and just bend into the right knee as if you're going to do Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Bend a little bit deeper and then bring both your hands inside the right foot. Now some folks benefit from a block. Lift your chest, reach into the outside edge of the back foot. Now this is one way to warm up. You're starting to warm up the inner thighs, you're starting to warm up the hips. Now the next step to go a little bit deeper is to see if you can bring your elbows down to the ground and still keep your back leg alive so you're lifting up through the inner left thigh. Still going deeper, the right shoulder wraps underneath the right knee, and now you shorten the stance a little bit. The left hand comes out to the side, and now we're going to turn it into balancing. So you'll lift the back leg, you'll reach for the foot, and now you extend the back knee up towards the ceiling as you open up and lengthen through the right leg, all while balancing. You'll slowly come out of it, just like you came into it, slowly coming down. Now, let's take that right into compass pose on the ground. So when we're approaching compass pose, or any pose actually, you need to warm up and educate, prime and prep those component parts that make up the pose. For compass pose, you need shoulder mobility, you need abduction at the hip joint, you need to warm up the hamstrings, get the flexibility there in the back of the legs. And once those component parts are open and ready, now you can go into the pose. So some of the ways you can do that is you can straighten the legs, Dandasana for hamstrings. You could add a forward bend. For the hips, you could do a seated pigeon, either working here, or even cradling the leg. If you can cradle the leg, maybe you can fold the opposite leg underneath you, almost like a double pigeon, but fold it in a little bit closer. Sit up straight and tall. If you're still comfortable here, maybe you bring the hip back a little bit, enough that now you can bring your shoulder underneath your knee and then plant your hands. Sit up tall. Now here, now you've got the shoulder opening, you're sitting up tall, you've got the hip opening, but this is where it gets tricky for a lot of people, and that's the hamstring flexibility, where now you begin to straighten, and now you add your lateral twist. So we take it step by step. Maybe you work here for a while. Maybe you work here for a while. Maybe it's your hamstring flexibility that you work. Step by step, breath by breath, practice, practice, practice. And maybe you'll get there, maybe you won't. But remember, it's never about the pose, it's always about the journey. This is compass pose.